Welcome to my channel. I'm Katie and I talk about projecting your best self through personal style as well as new age practices. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a really unique 2025 trend that I think you can really incorporate into your personal style regardless of your body type. This video was inspired by a video that Justine LeConte did on her YouTube channel. She's a fashion designer that lives in the French countryside, and every year she talks about the Pinterest trends that have come out and kind of dissects those trends. There's one trend that I really want to hone in on, and that is the dolled up trend. So it's really focusing on doll-like dressing. What I really love about this trend is that I think it can really be incorporated into anybody's personal style, and it doesn't really matter what your body type is. There's a way to incorporate this into your wardrobe or just pull out things that already exist in your closet that align with this trend. So let's get into the Pinterest dolled up trend. On the Pinterest board, I'm just going to read it here. In 2025, people will turn their entire lives into a tiny, mighty dollhouse. Pinterest users will go all in on baby doll makeup, cute room ideas, necklace charms, and the most whimsical colors. It's really focused on candy and pastel color, accessories, and butterfly hair clips, some bow details, zigzags, as well as all things kind of cute. It actually really reminds me of the Delia's catalog from the probably mid-90s. Let's think about the Barbie movie from last year with Margot Robbie, who's a bit of a living doll herself. That was certainly a feminist take on Barbie, and I saw so many people walking around with Barbie t-shirts or even just like the Barbie logo and wearing those candy pink colors. I certainly think that the 2025 Pinterest dolled up trend is inspired by that Barbie movement that came to the forefront last year. If we look back throughout history beyond Barbie, there have been plenty of dolls that have had kind of a fashion bent over the years. In the Victorian era, there were these beautiful, ornate porcelain dolls that became collectibles. In the 1970s, there were those Blythe dolls that again were fashion dolls and were quite beautiful. In the 80s and 90s, my grandma was an Avon lady, and the trophies that she was awarded for her sales work at Avon were these beautiful porcelain fashion doll kind of figurines. They stood about this tall and were really detailed fashion dolls depicting various eras. Fast forward to the early 2000s and we have the Bratz dolls that were very kind of over the top and even hypersexualized as dolls. So we can see that dolls have been kind of a reflection of the times in fashion and also inspiring fashion. What if you are interested in this trend and you're a more mature person like myself? I want to dress like a doll too. You can easily incorporate doll-like elements without looking too costumey. Just be sure to balance those soft, feminine, more detailed pieces with more structured pieces. So for example, you could have a more over-the-top sort of blouse. Maybe it's very detailed and has puff sleeves and ruching, but you could mix it with a more flat pair of pants that maybe is kind of standard, or an A-line skirt, or a fuller kind of flat skirt in a single tone, so that you're incorporating modern elements with that kind of like doll-like vintage flair. Also, you can mix real vintage with contemporary pieces to get that same sort of look and add that kind of juxtaposition so that the overall look is still feeling very modern and not too specific. For spring 2025, baby doll dresses have been appearing on spring runways, but there's so many different silhouettes that we can use when we're thinking of doll-like dressing. So think puff sleeves, empire waists, shirring, A-line skirts, and delicate tailoring. When we're talking about textures and fabrics, you can think of soft knits, delicate lace, vintage florals, muted pastels, and natural fibers. And make sure that you're keeping the length of the silhouette a little bit shorter. Think about incorporating fresh details like rounded collars, specifically Peter Pan collars, as well as, bows. They're still trending. We're still seeing those on a lot of vests as well as dresses and occasionally on a blazer. Look for pieces that have a lot of smocking, specifically through the bodice. And even bows that tie smocked sleeves or puff sleeves onto the dress. Mary Jane shoes are, of course, a classic and have this kind of fun, playful feel to them, as do berets, and structured handbags are also continuing to be very popular. My references for doll-like dressing include the Amelie film from 2021. I feel like Amelie, who's played by Audrey Tautou, does an excellent job of doll dressing, but it's very sophisticated and elegant. And the styling in Amelie is shorter silhouettes with rounded details. It's playful yet very sophisticated. There's a very strong emphasis on specific colors, and even if the colors are a little offbeat, the palette really works together. She wears some polka dots, some deep V-necks, lace tops, as well as some flared and A-line skirts. Everything is showing waist emphasis. The shoes are kind of dainty, and everything is very feminine. Even when it's quite fitted and a little more dressed up, it still has this kind of doll-like ethos. There are plenty sophisticated, timeless, and very wearable takes on this kind of doll-like dressing theme that aren't overly trendy and can stay in your wardrobe for years to come. I personally love a little whimsy in fashion, so I'm going to share how I would go about incorporating this trend into my wardrobe. As you can see, I am currently wearing a dress that I chose, obviously, for this video. It's from Damson Matter's Fall Winter 2024 collection, and I think this is a really awesome example of doll dressing for an adult. We have kind of a fun leopard print, we have a shirred bodice, we have an over-the-top sleeve, and then we have kind of a full skirt below with pockets. And this makes me absolutely feel like kind of a grown-up doll, and it's incredibly fun to wear, and there's some bow details on the back. And we have a lot of brands out right now that are really celebrating femininity, which is really this play on, ruching and shearing and poofy sleeves and florals and feminine silhouettes. It's not just kind of candy-colored baby doll dresses. Think some of the pieces from Cezanne. We have Christy Dawn. We have brands like Doen. In Canada, there's a brand called Bronze Age that has some pieces that would fit into that, as well as a brand called Coqueluche, which also has a few pieces that I think would fit in with the aesthetic. And Damson Matter that I had mentioned earlier, they have a lot of kind of over-the-top, very British looking pieces. A lot of the bodices have shirring details. They have bows everywhere. There's over-the-top ruffles, and yet somehow the dresses that they have are incredibly wearable and work on so many different body types as well as people of different heights. And there's several Etsy shops that I've seen as well, and I can share those in the links below, that have that kind of aesthetic where there's different elements of garments that are a little bit oversized and incredibly playful. It might be the print, it might be the detail, it might be the silhouette, but there are so many ways to incorporate this into your personal style that are more timeless and aren't just going to be a trend for 2025. If you're looking to invest in a few key pieces, I would keep it simple. I would actually go with a spring or summer dress that has that doll-like feel. It's perfect if you've got a wedding or any sort of event that you're attending in the summer. And if you want something a little bit less dressy, you can certainly find lots of less formal looks that incorporate this trend. I'm sure we're going to be seeing them throughout the spring and summer, as well as playing with shoes that are kind of a round toe, maybe have some buckle details and are a little bit more playful, so that you can mix those with the dresses. Also, I think it doesn't hurt to have a blouse that is in this same kind of vein, because it could be an investment piece, but it would be something that you could wear and mix and match with key pieces that are already in your wardrobe and are your kind of hard-wearing, hard-working, more practical items. This Frederica top from Doen is the perfect example of what I'm talking about, with a sophisticated, grown-up, kind of doll-like, ethereal vibe. It is in the painted bouquet print, and it's gorgeous. It has this watercolor, very delicate, small floral print. It has lace detailing at the neckline. It has lace detailing at the end of the sleeves. It also has elasticized sleeves, so it's adding more volume to the sleeves. There's pin tucks, there's some lace detailing going into the bodice, and overall it's just like light, has a lot of detail, and is quite pretty. Why is doll dressing kind of really resonating with me as well as others in 2025? I think a lot of us are really nostalgic for a simpler time. It's a juxtaposition to what's going on in the world. There's a lot of really difficult politics happening right now, and this doll dressing is so much softer and really the antithesis of this, quite frankly, destructive, hyper masculine and violent energy that we are seeing out in the world right now. Thanks so much for listening to this video and joining me on this journey to talk about doll-like dressing and why it's fun and feels so current today. I really encourage you to play with this idea and incorporate it into your own personal style. So rather than just taking a trendy piece, why don't you bring it into your personal style and really make it your own? And I would love to see any pieces that you have or how you think you're going to go about incorporating this trend. So please do share in the comments below. If you'd like to hear more content from me, please like and subscribe. I will be sharing more in weeks to come, and I will see you again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.